Have you ever heard about the first sacrifice offered to Allah in history? No, I'm not talking about the well-known story between the Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, and his son, which resulted in the substitution of a ram from heaven. I'm referring to a much older event, from the time of the first humans, the sons of Prophet Adam, peace be upon him, Habil and Qabil. This sacrifice was unique and surprising. One of these sacrifices was not an animal, but something as insignificant as rotten fruits. Imagine the scene. Two brothers, Habil and Qabil, presenting their offerings to Allah. Habil, with sincerity and devotion, offered his best ram, while Qabil decided to offer some fruits that were already in bad condition, showing his lack of respect and commitment. Yes, you heard right. Qabil's rotten fruits were his offering to Allah. You will soon discover the details of this shocking event, how this first sacrifice unfolded, and what lessons we can learn from this ancient story. The narrative of Habil and Qabil teaches us much about intention and purity of heart in acts of worship, highlighting the importance of offering the best of ourselves to Allah. It all began after the birth of 41 children of Adam and Hawa, which included 20 pairs of twins and one single child. In each birth, a boy and a girl were born, and upon reaching adulthood, these children would marry their siblings born after them. This method ensured the continuity of humanity in its early stages. However, two of the sons of Prophet Adam, Habil and Qabil, began to have a serious dispute. The cause of their conflict was a girl whom both wanted to marry. Habil was destined to marry the twin sister of Qabil, but Qabil vehemently opposed this union. Qabil, driven by his desires, wanted to marry his own twin sister, challenging the initial decision. The situation became tense and complicated, with both brothers firmly positioned in their desires. This family dispute was not just an ordinary disagreement. It marked the beginning of a conflict that would lead to a tragic outcome and an eternal moral lesson. The dispute was presented to their father, Prophet Adam, who proposed a fair and divine solution to resolve the conflict. Adam suggested that they leave the decision in the hands of Allah by offering sacrifices. He said, "Since you do not accept my decision, there is nothing else to do. Each must offer a sacrifice to Allah. The one whose sacrifice is accepted will be able to marry the girl." Habil and Qabil accepted their father's proposal, trusting in divine justice. In those times, the concept of sacrifice was different from what we know today. It was not about the slaughter of an animal, but about offering something of great personal value. To perform the sacrifice, each had to leave their offering at the top of a mountain. If Allah accepted the sacrifice, it would disappear, indicating his acceptance. Habil, being a shepherd, chose his most beautiful ram and carefully adorned it before taking it to the top of the mountain. It was a sacrifice of great personal value and effort. Qabil, on the other hand, being a farmer, took a handful of rotten fruits and also left them on the mountain. He thought that Allah did not need his best harvest and offered something insignificant compared to his brother's sacrifice. This difference in the quality and sincerity of their sacrifices marked the outcome of this story. What happened the next day, when they went up to check their sacrifices, would be an eternal lesson about true devotion and sincerity in worshiping Allah. Habil's ram had disappeared, a clear sign that Allah had accepted his sacrifice. However, Qabil's rotten fruits remained in the same place, showing that his sacrifice had not been accepted. This result meant that Habil had earned the right to marry the girl, as agreed. The rejection of his sacrifice and the acceptance of his brothers filled Qabil with fierce and destructive envy. Consumed by jealousy and anger, Qabil threatened to kill Habil. This threat marked the beginning of a conflict that went beyond a simple sibling dispute, reflecting the dangers of pride and insincerity in worshiping Allah. Habil, showing deep wisdom and devotion, responded to his brother's threat with serenity and faith. "If you kill me, I will not strike back because I fear Allah, the Lord of the worlds. If you commit this sin, you will bear not only your sin but also mine, and you will be among the inhabitants of hell. That is the fate of the unjust." These words reflected his fear of Allah and his commitment to justice and nonviolence. However, despite Habil's wisdom, Qabil remained steadfast in his envy and fury. The seed of evil had taken deep root in his heart, blinding him to his brother's warnings and the consequences of his actions. One night while Habil slept peacefully, Qabil, driven by uncontrollable anger, approached stealthily with a stone in his hand. In a brutal and ruthless act, he struck his brother's head, killing him instantly. This tragic event marked the first murder in human history, committed between two brothers, not for a noble cause, but for a dispute over a girl. This act of fratricide not only left an indelible stain on human history, but also highlighted the gravity of envy and lack of fear of Allah. It was a reminder of the dangers of letting negative emotions dominate the heart and mind, leading to actions with eternal consequences. Now let's go to the ram that Habil had offered as a sacrifice on the mountain and that Allah had accepted. What you are going to learn about this ram might surprise you, but before reaching that point, you need to hear a fascinating story about Abdul Mutalib, the grandfather of our Prophet. Peace and blessings be upon him. Abdul Mutalib was known for rediscovering the Zamzam well, which granted him great prestige. However, he faced a challenge when he made a solemn promise to Allah. This story reveals the sacrifice he almost had to make with his own son, Abdullah, the father of the Prophet Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him. After digging the Zamzam well and gaining great renown for this achievement, the leaders of Quraysh approached Abdul Mutalib with a mix of admiration and envy. They said, "O Abdul Mutalib, this well also belongs to our ancestor Ismael. We also have rights over it, and you should include us in this endeavor." However, Abdul Mutalib stood firm and with unwavering resolve replied, "No, I cannot do that." The chiefs, feeling scorned and angry at Abdul Mutalib's lack of support, retorted disdainfully, "How dare you challenge us? Who do you have to support you in this? You only have one son." Deeply moved by these words and the pressure he felt, Abdul Mutalib made a solemn promise to Allah. "If Allah grants me 10 sons, I will sacrifice one near the Kaaba in his honor." Years passed, and when Abdul Mutalib reached 40 years old, Allah blessed him with 10 sons. Remembering the sacred vow he had made years earlier, he decided it was time to fulfill it. He gathered all his sons and explained the promise he had made to the Almighty. The children, astonished and with hearts full of uncertainty, asked in trembling voices, "Father, how will we decide which one of us will be sacrificed?" It was decided to draw lots using 10 arrows, each with the name of one of his sons written on it. The tension was palpable as everyone waited for the result with bated breath. When the arrow was shot and the officiant read the name written on it, Abdul Mutalib was paralyzed with surprise and disbelief. The name that appeared on the arrow was Abdullah, the future father of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. The revelation filled Abdul Mutalib's eyes with tears and his throat closed with emotion. Abdullah, the beloved son destined for great things, remained in solemn silence as everyone present understood the gravity of the situation and the immense sacrifice that was about to be made. Abdul Mutalib prepared to fulfill this promise with a heavy heart, ready to sacrifice his son as he had vowed. However, the Quraysh leaders, alarmed by the gravity of the act, intervened to stop him. They said, "If you carry out this sacrifice, it could become a common practice among our people. You must find another solution." Abdul Mutalib, although determined to keep his vow, was forced to consider the chief's words. After much and prolonged discussion, an alternative was finally agreed upon. Instead of sacrificing Abdullah, 100 camels would be offered as atonement. This act of sacrifice was accepted, and thus Abdullah, the father of the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was saved. This event not only marked a crucial moment in Abdul Mutalib's family history, but also prevented the establishment of a painful tradition among his people. Now let's go back to a much earlier time, to the era of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. to discover the mystery behind the origin of the Eid al-Adha festival. Despite the many years that passed without having children, Prophet Ibrahim maintained unwavering faith in Allah's mercy. In an act of profound devotion, he raised his hands to the sky and fervently prayed, "O Lord, grant me righteous descendants." Allah, in his infinite goodness, heard his prayer and granted him a son whom he named Ismael. This son became the light of Ibrahim's eyes and a testament to divine mercy. As Ismael grew into a strong and pious young man, Ibrahim felt increasingly blessed. However, one night, Prophet Ibrahim had a disturbing and terrifying dream. In this dream, Allah commanded him to sacrifice his beloved son Ismael as an act of obedience and faith. Ibrahim understood that this dream was unlike any other. It was a divine command that he had to fulfill, a test of his faith and total submission to Allah's will. At first, Ibrahim thought it was just a dream and didn't give it much importance. But the dream kept repeating almost every night. He then realized the gravity of the situation. Allah was testing him. Each night, the same vision disturbed him, clearly showing him that he had to sacrifice his beloved son, Ismael. Prophet Ibrahim made a firm decision. This dream was a divine message that he had to obey, a supreme test of his faith and obedience to Allah. One day, he approached Ismael with a calm yet solemn voice, asking him to take a rope, a knife, and an axe, and accompany him to the mountain where they often went to gather wood. Ismael, always obedient and respectful, did not hesitate to follow his father, unaware of the difficult task that awaited them. As they walked together toward the mountain, a solemn silence surrounded them, and Ibrahim's heart beat with a mix of love and fear for what he was about to do. Ibrahim explained to his son the true reason for their journey and told him about the dream he had. A dream unlike common dreams, but a divine vision that had to be obeyed. Ismael, showing extraordinary faith and obedience to Allah, calmly accepted the fate his father had revealed to him. With impressive composure, Ismael, peace be upon him, said to his father, "O my father, if this has been ordained to you, do what you must do. Do not worry about me, for by the grace of Allah, you will find me among the patient and obedient." These words reflected a deep submission to Allah's will, a quality that distinguishes true believers. Unlike ordinary people's dreams, which can be confusing and misleading, prophets' dreams are special and truthful, being direct messages from Allah. It is important to note that prophets do not see deceptive dreams, as their visions are protected from Satan's influences. Unlike common people's dreams, which can be distorted and manipulated by evil forces, Prophet Ibrahim then began the preparations for the sacrifice in Mina with determination and a heart full of faith. He tied Ismael's hands and feet, laid him down carefully, and blindfolded him so as not to see his beloved son's face during the act. Then, with a knife in hand and his heart firm in obedience to Allah, he placed it on Ismael's throat. But surprisingly, the knife did not cut despite Ibrahim's efforts. At that moment, Ismael, showing incredible maturity and wisdom, said to his father, "O father, place me face down on the ground so that you do not see my face." Ismael thought that his father could not complete the sacrifice if he saw his face, and wanted to make the trial easier for him. Ibrahim, filled with sorrow and resolve, did as his son asked, but the knife still did not cut, showing divine intervention. Allah, seeing the sincerity and total submission of Ibrahim and Ismael to his will, prevented the knife from cutting. Just as he had commanded the fire to cool during Ibrahim's trial, when he was thrown into the flames for his faith. Ibrahim and Ismael, peace be upon them, brilliantly overcame this test of faith and obedience. Allah, pleased with their sincerity and dedication, ordered the angel Jibril to descend with the ram that Habil had offered as a sacrifice thousands of years before. The angel Jibril, obeying the divine order, descended from heaven with the ram, presenting it as an alternative for the sacrifice. Ibrahim, seeing this miraculous intervention, was filled with deep emotion and gratitude towards Allah. This ram, sent directly from heaven to be sacrificed instead of Ismael, not only saved the young man's life, but also established a significant tradition in Islam. This story is the origin of our practice of sacrifice and the annual celebration of Eid al-Adha, reminding us of the importance of faith, obedience, and Allah's mercy. The celebration of Eid al-Adha commemorates this act of devotion and gratitude, reaffirming our connection with Allah and our willingness to fulfill His will with total submission and love. Throughout human history, there are two significant events related to sacrifice: that of Abdullah, the father of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, and that of Ismael, the ancestor of the Prophet. Both events stand out not only for their religious significance, but also for their emotional and spiritual impact on their respective eras. Abdullah, the Prophet's father, was chosen by Lot to be sacrificed to fulfill a vow made by his father, Abdul Mutalib. However, thanks to the Quraysh community's intervention and Allah's mercy, Abdullah was saved, and his sacrifice was replaced with that of 100 camels. On the other hand, Ismael, the son of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, was destined to be sacrificed in obedience to a dream revealed to his father. The sincerity and faith of both were rewarded when Allah sent a ram from heaven to be sacrificed instead of Ismael. These two events are intertwined in the Islamic narrative and highlight the themes of sacrifice, obedience, and divine mercy. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, recognizing the importance of these events, said a memorable phrase, "I am the son of two sacrificed ones." This statement underscores his lineage and the deep connection with the trials and tribulations faced by his ancestors, reinforcing the legacy of faith and submission to Allah that he himself represented. My dear friends, let me share something with all of you. First of all, I would like to express my deep gratitude for the interest you show in our videos. May Allah bless you abundantly. However, it is important to note that 80% of our viewers are still not subscribed to our channel. I strongly encourage you to subscribe, as your support will help us grow and reach a wider audience. This includes the possibility of inspiring non-Muslims to embrace Islam through our content. I hope to see you very soon in a new video. Until then, may Allah keep you safe and grant you peace and blessings.